Welcome to the Growth Series podcast, where we explore how AI is reshaping industries and accelerating innovation. I'm your host, Josh Jackson. At Red Letter AI, we help businesses scale their revenue, generate consistent and predictable leads, and streamline systems so it feels like you've got 100 sales reps, even if you only have 5. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, you're in the right place. If you'd like a free growth consultation, drop the word growth in the comments below. So my guest today is Ralph Cerullo, a sales leader and trainer with a proven record of building teams, driving growth, and transforming how companies sell. After decades of leading high-volume sales organizations, Ralph founded Sales Debut, an elite training program designed to give professionals and founders and systems the success in sales, whether they're brand new or to a field or switching industries. Now, with an upcoming launch of Eagle School, Ralph is expanding that mission to help experienced salespeople take their careers to the next level. He's not just teaching sales, he's building the next generation of sales professionals. Ralph, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So tell me a little bit about your background and the journey that's led you here to the Growth podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So like every other salesperson on the planet, I did not choose sales as my profession. Sales chose me, and it was through a series of events that happened through the course of my life. Listen, I think a lot of people share this that are sales professionals. I feel as though I was always selling something, even from a young age, and I don't have the traditional story of, hey, I had a paper route and I had a lemonade stand and I was selling this door to door or that door to door. But my story is a little bit more organic in the sense that I just found myself in situations of necessary persuasion throughout the course of my life. And that natural skill led me to a career in sales. I initially was very focused in the arts. I wanted to be a filmmaker and a writer, and I went to school to do that. I spent some time doing that freelance, and what I found was a lot of my efforts were in selling our services rather than focusing on the creative end of things. And I always seemed to be drawn back to sales as the skill that I was able to lean on to propel myself forward. So I started my sales career in the mortgage industry, working in telemarketing, boiler room setups, and really was able to cut my teeth in that very difficult and fast-paced, aggressive sales environment. From there, I've worked in a variety of industries as a salesperson: transportation, education. I finally landed in the service and construction space. And that's really where I excelled and was able to gain a mentor in our then CEO, who, while I was at a private equity backed asphalt and concrete company roll up across the Northeast, was promoted up several times and eventually got my first taste of sales leadership and was able to build, train, and lead our sales organization across 4 states for 5 locations. And that experience in and of itself changed the course of my life. I've then since built and trained and led sales teams and marketing teams and some operations functions across several industries and for several companies. And in 2002, decided to launch Sales Debut because I felt like the market was really missing courses and mentorship programs that focused on helping individuals that were entering their career in sales or making one of the biggest transitions a lot of salespeople experience in their career. That first transition from, hey, I was successful over here, but now I'm going to switch industries or I'm going to switch focuses and maybe go from selling a service to selling a product to selling software as a service. And those transitions can be very difficult because unlike most professions, when we switch as salespeople, when we're individual contributors, we find ourselves in a position where we're almost starting over, right? And we have to open up a territory, build a pipeline, and then excel. And we have to do that at a velocity that doesn't impact our financial standing or our career momentum. And that can be challenging for a lot of folks. So I launched Sales Debut for that purpose, so I could help those individuals succeed quickly in those transitions or in that vamp up period as a new sales rep.
Yeah. So it's interesting you said about mortgages because that was not my first sales job, but it's probably the place I learned sales the most. So I can appreciate what you're saying. Is that Quicken Loans? Well, it was Quicken Loans back then. It's Rocket Mortgage now.
Yep.
And I always joke like the sales training I received there, like I would trade all the money that I made there for the sales training that I received. As difficult as it was, it's lasted me my whole life, and I contribute a lot of things I do today to that experience now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. The
if we zoom,
smile and dial, right?
they made you have a mirror by here. You had to make sure and smile when you're on the phone because it comes through.
Absolutely.
So when we zoom out and look at the macro landscape, what major shifts or trends do you think are shaping the future of the sales industry? How's it changing?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest changes we're seeing is, at least from a perspective standpoint, right? We're seeing a huge amount of content out there, and a lot of it is focused on very aggressive tactics or reframing speech, right? So having a contrarian view of how we speak on sales calls. We're not saying I'm following up. We're saying something like, I had time to call you today, and we're trying to almost reframe some of the traditional tactics or skills that we employed as salespeople. We're seeing a lot of content coming out because folks are trying to stand out. The issue with that is we're losing some context, right? We're losing. It's not so much about what we're saying, but why we're saying it, and some of that has get
Hmm.
lost in these soundbite educational clips that people are viewing on repeat on social media and other platforms that don't give a clear indication of what's going on in the sales conversation and why are we saying these things that we're saying, right? Because closing is not an act, right? It's a result of having a really good sales process and having some transferable skills that transcend the trends that we see emerge, especially in this space. So what I think you're seeing the most of is kind of a dilution of some of the traditional programs that we've seen in the past. The Miller Hymans, Spin, Sandler Sales Training, Dale Carnegie, some of the others that exist out there. And we're seeing those replaced with attention grabbing, more aggressive sales programs and tactics that aren't necessarily bad. They're just not necessarily framed appropriately for the viewer to understand
Hmm.
why these approaches are being used and what the result is when we use them.
So when it comes to like the future of the sales industry, like we've seen how social media has changed everything, right? So now the next wave is AI. So in 5 years from now, like how do you think the sales industry is going to look the same, and how do you think it's going to look different?
Yeah, so I actually think AI is actually going to have a positive impact on sales as a profession. I think a lot of people have this fear that, okay, well, AI is going to replace the need for salespeople. And I think salespeople in general are almost a protected class in this transition as we look at AI as an emerging part of the business world. Because salespeople are a bridge, right? When we boil business down to its fundamentals, it's the act of buying something or selling something. Some people are on the buying and selling side of things. Some people are just on the purchasing side, and some people are on just on the selling side. But in its simplest form, that is what business is, right? And salespeople are the bridge between the organization that's has an offer and the other organization that needs to make a purchase. And on the B2C side, it's the organization that has the offer and the individual that is seeking that solution to a problem that they have. Right. I think it's very difficult for us to extract the human element from that,
Hmm.
especially as things are changing in the business environment. So, what's the advantage there? Well, salespeople have so many tools at their disposal now that they can automate so much of what they do and really focus on what the most important piece of their job is, which is building relationships, right? Finding opportunities that fit their profile of who they sell to and why, right?
Hmm.
And being able to go out and make those connections and actually establish a relationship that could result in a sale, right? So, in comparison to that media dump we just talked about, where people are just putting out content without context, AI actually is going to I think, shift things into a new realm where the winners in this race are the people that can intelligently and strategically utilize automation, right, to enhance their personal brand professionally, right, and reach their customers in an intelligent way. And I think that's going to really change for the right people how they sell and how well they sell and the results they get.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And what for 15, 20 years, I've said the same phrase over and over and over again that, I believe in high tech, high touch. And I see so many people doing AI the wrong way, and they try and want to automate everything, even they want to automate the human connection. And that's the part I think where people are massively failing. I talked to a friend of mine who's in mortgages, and I was telling him like all the stuff that like you can do. And he's like, Josh, am I still going to have a job? And I'm like, absolutely. And I kind of paraphrase much more simplistic than what you just said, but yeah, you always need that human element. So, I mean, I'm right on board and I agree with you 100% with everything you're saying.
Yeah, we
So
should be
kind of,
embracing this opportunity, not looking for ways to avoid it, replacing what we do, or looking to exploit it to an extent where it actually has a negative effect. Like you mentioned, we all know when we're talking to a chatbot or we're talking to an actual person, right? We all know when that conversation's inauthentic, and those conversations are actually going to be more important, and that authenticity and that human connection is going to become even more important than it is today.
I agree. And the distinguishing, the difference that people need to realize is the difference between information and communication, right? The information can be the AI, but the communication still has to be human.
Absolutely. I agree totally.
So I would love to hear more about, sales debut or Eagle School. Kind of what are you doing there, and who's that going to be for, and what's that going to look like?
Yeah. So right now, sales debut, we have a few offerings that predate Eagle School, which I'll talk about in a moment. Like I mentioned before, Sales Debut really started as a course to help salespeople entering their career or transitioning into a new industry. So, Sales Debut, the course, which is available on salesdebut.com, focuses on structuring a territory, building a prospecting plan, executing on that prospecting plan, uh, tracking our pipeline appropriately, right? And building our personal brand. And that's the focus of that course. And it's excellent for people in those categories. We also have our big deal strategy kit, which is also going to be released shortly, which focuses on how we structure big deals with long sales cycles and what that process looks like and how we track it along the way. So that is going to be an actual worksheet designed to help us track our biggest deals in our pipeline, along with a short mini video course that helps explain how to utilize that appropriately. We also offer one-on-one mentorship, so folks can go on there and schedule time with myself for one-on-one coaching. We really tailor that to what your needs are. And often, because we focus so much on people entering their career in sales or transitioning in their career in sales, part of that process is us helping place those people in their next role as a salesperson. So we've had great success in doing that, and we've made it part of that mentorship program. In addition, we work with organizations on a consulting basis to either train their sales teams or come in, restructure their sales organization. So we're going to build, we're going to train, and we're going to help them execute to reach their revenue goals. So we have a few different products right now and offerings in terms of services that we have through Sales Debut. Eagle School
Now,
is the next evolution of
okay,
Sales Debut. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
okay. Oh no, I want to hear a little more about Eagle School. Then I'll have a follow up question for you.
Sure. So Eagle School is going to be the next evolution of the Sales Debut course load. And this is going to focus more on people trying to elevate their sales career. So we're really going to focus on the strategic skills that help us now increase our ability to close deals more rapidly and also keep consistent in our sales career. So many courses focus on instantaneous results, right? We're looking to learn the skills to close more deals immediately so that we can achieve a financial gain. And that is part of these strategies. But I think the one piece that's missing that we're going to tackle inside of Eagle School is how do we build a foundation so that we can do this consistently throughout our career? Right? Because it's really about being a sales professional. It's not about being somebody that can go out and make money fast for a short period of time. And in order to be consistent, there's a lot of peaks and valleys, and we need to build the strategies to survive those, right? And build a long lasting career. So that's what Eagle School's about. And we're looking forward to launching that hopefully by the end of this year.
So if I'm a sales professional, maybe I'm brand new, maybe I've been in the industry a long time, maybe I feel like I'm at a plateau. Like, who do you have a certain industry that you go after? Is it mortgage? Is it real estate? Is it any sales professional?
Yeah, our the courses, all the courses are applicable to any industry, right? Whether you're in a short sales cycle like car sales or selling appliances in a retail environment, to selling software as a service, to selling consulting services, large ticket consulting services, whether you're selling construction services, roofing, plumbing, electrical. We touch on all industries and even, like you mentioned, the mortgage industry,
Hmm.
inside sales, outside sales. It's applicable to all sales environments and all sales roles.
Gotcha. Now, Eagle School hasn't launched yet, correct?
Correct.
When is the launch date on that?
So we're looking at the end of this year or the beginning of 2026. So it should be out no later
Okay.
than January of 26.
Nice. Okay, so that's coming. So I'd love to hear maybe a specific example from sales debut, maybe your most recent testimonial that you've had, like maybe like a real example we could share with everybody on something someone struggled with, what they do about it, and what's their success now.
Yeah, so one of the most recent mentorships that I ran was with an individual in Colorado who was experiencing a transition period. He had actually spent some time in the beer industry, working for breweries, leading breweries out there in Colorado. And he decided that this wasn't for him and he wanted to make a switch into a sales role. Okay.
Hmm.
And he took the sales debut course. We spent some time doing one on one mentorship and training and taking his skills that had leading in the beverage industry, right? Those skills he had to develop and applying them to a sales resume and how he could use those as transferable skills. We placed him in um, a sales role in a retail environment. It wasn't the ultimate goal, but it allowed him to get that resume piece applied to his CV. And then eventually we were able to get him placed in a software company. He's now since been promoted, I think just his third time now, as of a couple of weeks ago. So that was one of our more recent success stories where we took somebody who really didn't see a path of how to make that transition, but knew he really wanted to go into a space where he had control over his financial aspirations and could grow quickly. And we were able to help that be a reality for him.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Definitely changed his life, that's for sure, right?
Absolutely.
So as far as right now, I know Eagle School's coming out, sales debut. Like, what stage of business is sales debut in right now, and what kind of growth are you looking to do over the next 12 months with adding in Eagle School?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're real thoughtful about who we reach out to and who we market the courses to. Listen, obviously, we want to grow the organization steadily over the next 5 years, and we want to reach larger audiences and get our message out to as many people as possible. But we're also mindful and focused on having the appropriate message reach the appropriate people. And rather than painting this picture with a broad brush, we're really trying to focus on those niche markets where we feel we're reaching people that really need our help. And it's not just about selling our course to as many people as we possibly can. And the
Hmm.
reason for that is, this mission started to help people. It wasn't about necessarily making money selling the course, which obviously we're looking for people to join our cause and be advocates for it. But if we can reach individuals that are starting out in their sales career with the sales debut course, I think that mission is one that's so important, because when people start in their career, that's the hardest time for any salesperson. And a lot of courses are focused on that period of time when we've been situated somewhere, we're not seeing success, and now we need to make a course correction, right? But if you can catch somebody at the onset of their career in sales and teach them the fundamentals and teach them the skills that they need to succeed, it makes that vamp up period, that first 6 to 9 to even 12 months of their story so much easier. They don't feel alone. They don't feel as though there's no way for them to see the success that they're seeing others see, right? And the reason for that is, beyond knowing how to sell, most people don't know how to start the conversations necessary to build the pipeline to a point where they can actually sell anything. And us making that transition in that period of time a little bit easier for folks is really the ultimate mission. So if we can reach
Yeah.
as many of those people as possible, that would be a success in my book. Eagle School, what I really aspire for with Eagle School is to get back to some of the traditional sales methodologies and frameworks that I think are really important, that are being missed in some of the newer systems, programs, or individuals we see propagating sales training today.
hmm Yeah, getting started, being in sales and starting businesses myself, feeling like you're on an island and not sure what to do. It's a little lonely feeling. And it sounds like, your program really has a heart for being there and guiding them. Let me grab you by the hand and let's do it together kind of feel so you can get started. So like, I really feel the mission that you're talking about and not just wanting to be slap as many people in as possible. So in that, I mean, you got to be a little more detailed on who you talk to, who you go after. So what's been the toughest part of getting in front of your ideal client, ideal customer?
Yeah, I think what we're all seeing today, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether obviously we're seeking a particular individual that we feel would fit the profile of who we're selling the course to, right? But you're seeing this in every industry, right? And that is, there's a lack of trust, and earning people's trust is very difficult, right? And especially in this fast-paced, media-driven economy that we exist in, right? People get a lot of information very fast, and they need that trust factor in it in order to give you their time and attention, right? And that's the first thing
hmm
we're asking for. We're asking for people's time and attention. Hey, I want you to
hmm
take a look at this and see if it's a fit for you, right? And that's a very difficult thing to acquire now, people's mind share, getting their time. So with that, there's a few ways that we earn trust, right? We need to have some sort of public presence, right? Whether that's on social media or elsewhere, right? Referrals from other people, some sort of testimonial funnel that we could take people down so they can get verification. All right. It's getting harder and harder to do that just because people have so much information coming at them at once, right?
hmm
So we work very heavily off of referrals. A lot of people that we've helped out are very eager to share this with others that they know in a similar situation. So we do a lot of work off of referrals, and we do a lot of work off of outreach on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been a huge tool for us, and because it's very easy to identify people that are looking for opportunities, right? And it's easy to have a conversation with them about what those opportunities they're looking for are and how you might be able to help them. So I actually see LinkedIn and this social media as a tool that has remained really authentic in its mission. I know has gone through different periods where people have been critical of it and maybe viewed it as slipping into some of the bad habits of some of the others. But I think overall, if we look at LinkedIn over time, has been a really valuable resource, and we utilize it heavily.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, exactly. I've used it in the past, didn't use it. Now I'm using it again. So gotta go through my ebbs and flows as well. So like in looking at your overall business and launching new product, do you see any bottlenecks or you're experiencing around your pipeline, outreach, or lead conversion, or any kind of bottlenecks that you're seeing?
I actually, I've seen an increase in conversion over the past year and a half. And I think that we're seeing, and I don't think that's unique to myself. I think a lot of folks are seeing some more success, especially in my space. Now, there could be a lot of reasons for that. We're seeing the job market dwindle for somebody like myself. People are looking for assistance in getting the training and the edge that they might need to have an advantage in the job market. So we've seen that as actually a benefit to our mission. So it's actually been a significant increase over the past year and a half.
Yeah. So, and then kind of wrapping up a little bit, uh, let's say somebody's watching this and they're an entrepreneur, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to start their own thing, and they hear a lot about AI. What advice would you give them about integrating AI into their business or their product or service?
Yeah. So the number one thing you need when you're starting a business is allocation of your time, right? That needs to be spot on, right? And preservation of your time. So for me, AI is a great tool for us to find those areas where we're not doing, I don't want to call it's the important work, but we're not doing the focus work that impacts our business, right? So if we can automate anything that's a task in our daily lives that doesn't really deserve our time and attention, and when we're starting as entrepreneurs or we're starting even in our careers in the business world, focusing on those things that add value to ourselves or the business are key. And AI actually gives us a very unique opportunity right now to streamline a lot of the busy work and the noise and eliminate that from our day as a distraction. So if you can do that successfully, um, I think it's going to give you an advantage as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, two final questions before we wrap up here. I always like to ask all my guests, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received is give bad news early and give good news only when you are 100% sure it's good news. I have taken that advice and lived by it, and it served me well.
That's awesome. I haven't heard it that way, but I would agree with 100%. Like I always learned that you got to give, good news travels fast and bad news has to travel faster.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and then last question is, what would you tell your younger self? Let's say you're getting started, you're a teenager, for the young people out there that want to have their own business or be an entrepreneur, what is your best advice to your younger self?
Fail more, fail often, and embrace failure because I think the greatest lessons that we learn in life. I know this sounds a little bit like a cliche because you hear it a lot in the business world, but it's so true. When you're young, you feel it, fear failure. I am no different, right? So we avoid those things that we need to do to be successful because we don't want to experience the pain of failure. And once we realize that that is the only way we're gonna break through and have some of these successes that we want in life. We start to embrace those failures and treat them as learning lessons. And that's what I've done. And that's what I would have told my younger self to do quicker so that I can increase the velocity of my success throughout my career.
Yeah. And again, like, I don't think it's a cliche. I don't think people hear this enough. I need to remind myself of it every day. In fact, that's probably what I'm most critical about school is, you have a right and wrong answer and you get penalized for being wrong. And in the real world, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
Success doesn't start happening until you start failing.
absolutely.
You know, I I wish I would have had that advice when I was much younger too. So I don't think it's a cliche. I think you're spot on. Your advice has been incredible. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about Eagle School when it releases and hearing the great testimonials from it. So
Tribal. Thank you, Joe.
Ralph, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. I've enjoyed this conversation and wish you nothing but the best success.
Thank you, Josh. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.